All right, everybody, welcome. Thanks for being here today. We are going to start by standing and doing the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was able to say the pledge to that flag on the back of your shirt. All right, looking for a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban. Present. Bartleson.
Here.
Loeb.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Galogly.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Kostecki. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, I see Pastor Ernest and Company is in the house to open us up.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Ernest. Appreciate it. Oh. What's that? Oh, all right. All right, see you guys. All right, so tonight's fun. Tonight we have our Beautification Recognition Awards. Joanne, you want to speak to it, please?
Yes. So we do have a total of 8 properties. However, I only see only 4 of the residents here. So we'll recognize those that are here.
Yeah, great. Just review it for everybody so we know.
Okay. So we try to do this for every season. We ask for people to submit their homes so that, especially when they do an extra with their decorations, whether during the summer and spring, it's their flowers or just decorations that they put out in their landscaping so that when everyone can admire the good work that they've done. Right now, we're going to be recognizing residents for spring and summer. It was a little slow this year, but we did get some residents to participate. I'm not sure why all of them aren't here. I assume that our list always, consists of those that are going to be attending, but things happen. But we appreciate the residents taking the time to submit their pictures and their addresses so that we can recognize them on, at the meeting and on TV, so that if people want to drive by and take a look at your beautiful landscaping that you've done, that we appreciate it. The next one will be our Halloween, fall, and then we recognize people for those, and then we go on to the holiday lights. So hopefully people will keep us in mind and send in your homes beautiful pictures.
All right,
Thank you.
Let's go down to the podium and look at
Okay.
pictures and meet people.
Oh, okay, very good. All righty. So the first couple that we're going to recognize is the property at 16857.
I've got the button, I've got.
You got the button? Do you want to help us there?
I have it listed by their name and not their, so I'm not sure which address.
Okay, so,
Yeah, no, it's not.
okay, this is the first one. Yes, I know, they're gonna be challenging. But anyhow, the property at 16857 Sunset Ridge, Mr. and Mrs. Antonelli? Antonelli, okay, sorry. Please come on up so that we can,
Yeah, that's very
let's see, yours was for spring, okay.
And I get to look at this every day because our driveways are approximately right across the
Oh, nice. So do you need to tell us that Renee does not keep up her yard?
Okay, nice.
I like your glasses. I like my glasses.
Yes.
Are those the ones the frame snap off? Yeah.
Okay, close enough, all right, I did it, okay. Okay, so the home that we're recommending for spring is 908.
Ne-
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
But it is the do, you guys, I can whistle here.
Okay.
Right on.
All
Have you ever
right.
in the service? Because the worst thing is the stencil room in boot camp. You have to write your name on each of and some guy next to you, Smith, is done. You're like, come on, just eliminate here, hurry up. So, all right.
So, but we thank you for participating. Here's your spring sign that we hope will display.
Yeah, right? I can see that. They had to leave a letter out. Hold on. Find the right one. So there it is. Okay. Oh, who were you? You were the. I was there. Yeah, but who were you? You live right next to me. Yes, I remember. It was fun. Hey, well, thanks for coming out. Those are fun event. I really appreciate it. Women's club. I get it. It's funny because I didn't know who anybody is. There was one guy I had no idea, and he's a friend of mine. I'm like,
Oh,
"Dude,
no,
no way, yeah." All right, well, here's the certificate.
So let me just say that these will not be the official ones. You're going to get those mailed to me. We kind of substituted because the regular ones weren't in. Yes, so you'll be right into the real ones. But thank you so much. It's,
So do you cover everything up in the winter, or you put it in the garage? What do you do with everything?
It just survives.
Does it?
yeah, that's very pretty.
Well, that is pretty. Now, that's just an optical illusion, because it's not like a giant walking beehive, right?
No, that's the first house.
Okay, yeah.
So that's your
It looks absurd.
Walk in and be. At least you would think of that.
Okay, and the next one is Young.
The young.
Mr. and Mrs. Young. At 1008 Main Street. That's a summer recognition.
How far back is your garden?
We have a retention pond behind
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah. The city takes care of that.
Good. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for these names.
Yes.
And who's this? I saw that lady.
She said the city takes care of it.
Which school do you go to? Really? All right. Yeah. Well, welcome. Oh, okay. No?
We get two reasons.
And the last but not least is Ritosh. Is that correct? Oh, see, nice rough face.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. How fun. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of work. How long does it take you to water every day? Yeah. That is really, really good.
That's great that you
Any other time? All right, Lisa, we're ready.
Okay,
So then we'll hold on, if you want to mention, go on.
yes, we might as well mention here, if you just go back to spring for 1641, this one right here. This is 1641 Hillside Court for spring.
Very nice.
Very pretty, look at all those. Very nice. And then we go to,
Oh, the kitchen.
Danica.
That's, you ever been in the backyard?
225 East 10th Street, look at that, holy man.
Yeah, I've been in this backyard, it is really cool.
This is a whole thing going on.
It's like a tiki hut, and it's
Yeah.
crazy, yeah.
Very nice. The things they do, my goodness. And let's see, 1629 Hamilton. Yeah, he's got a whole,
Oh, yeah.
thing going on. Okay, very good, and that's, on Hamilton. And then the last one is on, the owners are Elwood, 14534 Melbourne Place.
I think that last one, he talked about his need of plantings, that, you know, they're there, they grow naturally, they're not.
Right. Very nice. Well, thank you everyone for participating. We enjoyed recognizing you and hopefully we'll decorate the
You're not allowed to leave, you have to stay for the rest.
Lock the door.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, me friends. Well, we'll roll on. Sonny, what do you got? You got AT1 on the agenda?
Liaison reports?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's right.
I was totally
I got
off topic. What's
I got-
going on? Any liaisons?
I just got one I wanted to share with Christina. She mentioned it at one of the last meetings, a company called Simple Recycling. After she went to a recycling conference, I had a good call with the company. And it's a lot like At Your Door, like Waste Management does, but it's for other household goods and to recycle. And it's not only is it free to the community and the residents, but it also may actually pay the city some money. So I've asked them to send me a draft of model agreement. Sonny and I will go over it and we'll bring it back in the future, in a future presentation. But I just wanted to report back that we had caught up with the company finally, and it seems like a pretty neat program. So we
Okay,
look
good.
forward to
Yeah,
learning
thanks
more.
for bringing that up, Christina. All right, good. Sorry, any other liaison reports?
I just have a quick finance. Just wondering if the reports come in yet with staff with Old Canal Days, if the profitability of that is.
I have seen, I believe, the final report. Sometimes it takes a few months to wrap up. I want to say they made a little less money than last year, but we can certainly email a copy to everybody of the, well, the numbers are where they are. Obviously, that leads into, what we're doing for next year. We need to have those conversations still and work it out. I know the mayor and I had met with a few of their key board members and trying to decide what things can look like for 2023, but we can get you the finance
Because that
numbers.
leads into my next question, is there an agreement for next year? Or?
We don't have one in place. We've had conversations. I think we can certainly bring something to the council at some point that has some options to it. It really comes down to, it kind of leads into events and what the city's going to do about events and whether the city should hire somebody to do that or whether the chamber should do that. I think that all kind of ties into the whole Old Canal Days theme. So we can get with the chamber and see if they want to present a letter to us and or bring something to committee of the whole in the near future about where we are in those discussions.
Yeah.
Just so we can get something in with the budget. You know,
Agreed, yeah, it would be a potential
So we know what we're doing.
budget impact one way or the other.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks a bunch.
All right. Anybody else?
You didn't mention anything about takes to.
Oh, yeah, thank you. This weekend, the Lockport Township High School Foundation is having a fundraiser with Maggie Speaks here. It'll be in front of City Hall on Saturday from 5 to 10. It's a ticketed event. I think it's $10 in advance and $15 at the door. And it's just I call it a mini Old Canal Days. It's really just one evening on Saturday, but it's also homecoming weekend, so that's going to be interesting. But you can't have alcohol. The first question I always get is, well, why aren't they doing it at the high school? Well, you can't have alcohol on high school grounds. So, but they've got a lot of volunteers. Angela has been doing a nice job putting it together. Angela Adolph, I think, and we're looking forward to it. I know the PD will be there, and they're covering the overtime cost, and we're not having to provide public works employees on overtime, so that's good. They have a lot of volunteers and a cleanup day planned for Sunday, so it should be a nice event. Hopefully the weather will be good for us.
Well, then I'll remind people that the following weekend, St. Joe's Church and School is having their Oktoberfest after, I believe, 2 or 3 year layoff. So that starts Friday night, September 30th, goes till Sunday. And I believe Maggie Speaks is there as well, either on Friday or Saturday.
It's like the house band.
So, and they are hurting for volunteers. So if anybody is looking to help out the community, please contact St. Joe's and see if you could help out.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else? All good? All right, now we can jump over to AT1.
Yes.
Oh,
but-
I'm sorry.
but the-
I had one more I
you forgot
didn't
the-
realize.
Yeah, IMO.
I wanted to make a brief report. We have discussed the I&M Canal bike path. In the past, we worked with Vero, JSD and Associates with Romaville and Lamont and Will County Forest Preserve. What you're seeing on your screen now is the connection of the I&M path that goes up and under and over to 135th. We were approached by Romaville to enter into an IGA in regards to some cost sharing on this, even though it's outside of our jurisdiction, but our residents would be able to benefit from it. And in the midst of negotiating all that, before I could bring it to you all for future consideration, Sitco had called and graciously has offered to cover $450,000 grant to do this for us. So it benefits Lamont, Romaville, and Lockport the most. Those are the three communities most affected by Sitco and their proximity. So this was all part of the approved plan that you all participated in and approved. I don't know if it's been a year ago, but 2021. Wow. But very exciting, very gracious of Sitco. They're a great community partner. I wanted to thank them publicly. I'm sure there'll be more to come on this, and so I'm not sure we're going to really need our cost-sharing IGA anymore, but we may, depending on exactly what's included in the grant that I just got the call the other day, so we decided to say something about it, and I'll bring more to you when I know more, but certainly our contribution is going to be much, much less or nothing. So be great.
Get my bearings on this picture. Where
So that's 135th Street Bridge. So I&M Canal is on your left as you come up under the viaduct, and then you make a right, and you're under the road, and then you come up and do the loop. Sitco is off into the right corner, and then you make the loop. That's Romaville Road that goes back up and over. It's not the greatest iteration because it's,
I was looking for 135th.
yeah, it's,
Everything
Romaville
you
Road
see
is
is
135th.
under the bridge.
Yeah, everything you see is under the bridge, so we're not really showing the roadway, we're showing the bike path here, so. Yeah, and there's a little arrow here that kind of shows some of the additional work that Romaville had requested with the Will County Forest Preserve is to make the connection to continue towards the VMT, which is going really well for us over on the tollway. So eventually that tollway will go, that connection will go north and then west. You will someday be able to cycle from or walk the I&M and do a loop with the VMT, which would be an amazing experience in our community, so. So anyway, sorry, just wanted to share that. Now we get to AT1, thank you.
Mayor, members of the City Council, this is the development agreement, purchase and development agreement that was approved back in 2020 for the development of a three-story building on the 14, or the address, around the 1016 South State Street. And this is what happens when you have private and public cooperation. This used to be a gravel parking lot, as if you could recall, like, 3 or 4 years ago. And this is how the building is being built. We did approve, the City Council approved the development agreement, which allowed for the three-story building to be constructed, but the deadline to construct that building is December 31, 2022. But because of various, delays and some unexpected issues regarding I think the beam in the building, that there has to be, the developer would like a little bit more of a cushion to construct and complete the construction by June 30th, 2023. It's not an unreasonable ask, in this climate right now, and it's not like the construction never started. It started, it's almost there, we're to the finish line. So the amendment to, this is the second amendment. The first amendment was to approve the successor developer, which the City Council did approve back in 2021. This is to merely extend the completion deadline to June 30th, 2023. If there are any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
I just have one question. I just want to make sure, I have no problem with the extension, but I just want to make, here we are doing our streetscape project right here in front of them. Is there anything where they are going to have to fix what we do with streetscape I mean, are they totally off the sidewalk here?
We have coordinated with them. Part of that is some of the reason for the delay, because they need to put scaffolding up, and we're digging up the sidewalks in front of their building, so that's another reason why. But they should not create damage per se. I think they were waiting to take advantage of the streetscape work that we're doing, and we'll be coordinating. I guess if they do any damage, we'll certainly hold them accountable or get things replaced or fixed. But right now, we're kind of dancing between each other to see who gets what work done first. But I'll talk to Brent about it too, to make sure.
Yep.
Any other questions? You guys okay with the consent?
Thank you.
Mayor, I'll take the next item this evening, if that was good. Brent's not here tonight. This is a, PW1 is Resolution 22084. This is a replacement of Lockport Heights submersible pump in the amount not to exceed $32,086. This is a submersible pump that's up in the Lockport Heights area. It's expanded, or it's gone beyond its life. We do have, I noticed we had a couple of quotes, but we only had one. We only put in the award one. I did get a second quote from LAI Ltd. that was also over $32,200. This is a fight pump, which is kind of a sole source. All of our pumps, we like this brand and work with this warranty, and so we kind of sole source it from the vendors, so the price points don't change much. These actually, I believe, come out of Sweden, but they're very good, reliable pumps. We get a long life out of them, and so we're just seeking approval to replace one of these pumps. Happy to take any questions on them.
Everybody, any questions? Good? All right, we're okay with the consent on that?
Okay, thank you.
And then I have a request. So new business is next, and we had talked a little bit about, and I think at our strategic meeting is, having, feeling that we could talk more openly about some of these things, any topic that comes up. My request is that we move this item off of Committee of the Whole and put it at the end of City Council meeting, like maybe just before open floor comments, if that's a way we can structure it. I mean, tonight it would be no big deal if we, talk about something, but sometimes, we got a lot of people waiting on a council meeting and they don't want to listen to 2 hours of us talking about.
You mean
Maybe it's on-street parking or something.
the new business item, you
Yeah,
mean?
so move,
Okay.
because I know the new business is not on city council.
Okay.
So like actually making that the line item that goes on a city council meeting instead of a committee of the whole meeting.
I would just defer to legal on if that's an issue or not, Committee of the Whole versus City
No, I
Council,
mean,
because
it
they're not
really-
taking action regardless, so.
No, in fact, when I started here, we had a pre forma of how the agenda was set. We got rid of that because it allows the flexibility of the city council to determine what items should be on the agenda. It shouldn't be any issues legally to put it on there. Logistically, we would have to talk with, Granicus on changing the form. but,
Yeah, might take
no.
us a meeting or two, but we can.
That's fine. Are you guys okay with that, though?
Yeah, I actually wanted to bounce something off of that. If we're going to move new business over, do we really need to have a committee of the whole? Or do we just merge everything into a city council meeting that has new business on it?
Well,
Or do we do this because that's what you do in a city?
the ordinance is set that way. The structure is meant that you speak in dialogue and talk about the issue at Committee of the Whole together before taking action. And so the Committee of the Whole layer allows you that conversation, and then you're not really supposed to take action the same night. Now, you could in an emergency because we have city council. Matter of fact, I believe when I first started, Mayor, we had the meetings reversed. I think it was city council first and then Committee of the Whole. So you could also potentially make that switch and then leave the new business on the Committee of the Whole, because it would be the last thing you talk about. So there is no right or wrong per se. I mean, there are certain limitations and statutes based on the ordinances and how you want to run the meetings, but these are your meetings, and so they're pretty liberal in the way that you'd like to hold them.
There was like a reason why we switched it, and it made sense.
I think it was an emergency
remember what it was.
scenario. I think we had an emergency for something.
Oh, I know, you're right. It was
right
like
away.
sometimes there was on occasion
There
where
was
we
no
had to vote
time.
on something that day, and it allowed us to do it, so we could
Because you could
talk
put it
about
on Committee of the Whole, as long as you put it on,
Yeah.
so I think Sunny would chime in, she's the legal scholar more than I am, but in my experience, as long as it was on your agenda within 48 hours and published to the public, you can take final action. If it's not, you really can't take final action until the next meeting.
As long as it's on the city council agenda.
Okay.
So
in
the
our
committee of
format,
the
so-
whole is supposed to be a workshop. It's supposed to
Right.
be where you discuss items that will be approved at the next
And that's why I think
city
we had new
council meeting.
business on committee of the
Yeah.
whole, because that's been our structure. But I mean,
Yeah.
we can certainly.
I'm just thinking about it because it allows us, and
More
not
time
wasting
at the end
people's
of the night
time
or
who are
something.
sitting here for waiting for a vote.
Or you could also have new business on both agendas, or pull it off of committee
Yeah,
of the
that's
whole and
fine.
put it on city
Why don't-
council.
If you guys are all right, we'll just make sure we add it to the committee of the whole, because we usually just blow past it.
City council, you mean, right?
Yeah, on city council. And
And
then,
then we can figure out whether we can remove it from the template of committee of the whole, or we can just make it disappear. I mean, there's no reason to have both. Or you want it on both? Yeah, you can.
yeah, that's what I say, we usually just blow past it anyway when nobody
Okay.
has anything, but
Yeah.
we can always say, hey, we got something to talk about, let's deal with
That
it.
way also, if you're going through committee of the whole and you're thinking about something, and then you get to the next meeting and you still want to bring something up, you still have an opportunity, so that's nice.
Yep.
You just can't take final
Yeah,
action on
in
it.
some communities, they do have new businesses at the city council meeting. So that's when the council members would announce like public events or any new businesses. Under new business, you would not be taking any action on it if you don't have specific,
Right,
resolution or
that was the
anything else.
warning, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, I don't want an action, but I do want to follow up, since we just talked about Lockport Heights, kind of like a new idea. I had mentioned to the mayor in my meeting with him, or maybe about 2 months ago, I really feel that the council needs to know a little bit more about our intergovernment agreements, our AGAs, especially when it comes to Lockport Heights, Bonnie Bray, Homer Glen. Nobody even asked, why are we approving a pump for Lockport Heights? Where I think that should have been a question that should have been answered or asked or something
Sure.
even. And I also thought we were going to get into it at the strategic planning committee, but obviously we just got so busy doing what we were doing, we really had no time to discuss open topics. But I really would like to get it on a future meeting or something where we can discuss our agreements and understand them better as a council. And how long do we have to take care of Bonnie Bray? How long are we with Lockport Heights? How long are our commitments with Homer Glen? I'd really like to have that in front of everybody so
Sure.
we can make some decisions.
A great idea. We can certainly put together a mini presentation in a future committee of the whole. Sometimes I realize some of the stuff's all in my head and it's not readily understandable. Great question on the item, Lockport Heights pump. We are in an intergovernmental agreement with both Lockport Heights and Bonnie Bray sanitary districts in our area. These are areas that are unincorporated but that are on our water system. The agreement kind of talks about us taking care of maintenance, and it's on their property. Lockport Heights used to have a treatment plant that was dismantled years ago. It's just kind of 10 acres of a brownfield today near Prologis. But there are still pumps and flows occurring underground that the city does treat wastewater with. So that's why we're taking care of a Lockport Heights sanitary district pump request. It's really came from Brent. He's not here tonight, but it's our system. We maintain it, and per agreement, we're in those agreements with both sanitary districts until 2030, which is pretty far out. But there are discussions and negotiations going on between staff and some of the representatives with those districts about amending those agreements before they expire. So we can certainly talk about some of the details on that, and frankly, at some point, we're going to need council action and consideration to make any changes to those agreements. And it's a three-party agreement, so all three, the two districts and the city would have to agree. So yeah, we can certainly bring more information about that. You mentioned Homer Glen and the boundary agreement. We have a boundary agreement with almost all of our communities. We do not have a current one with the city of Joliet. It expired around 2015 or 2016. We just haven't renewed it with them. We have renewed all of our other boundary agreements with Romeoville over the years, New Lenox, Lamont. So we're in pretty good shape with the boundary agreement. The one with Homer Glen, though, is a bit complicated. It expires in 2024. And there is language in that agreement that we may or may not want to renew. So that's certainly an option for the city to let it expire and/or work with Homer Glen to amend the language to our satisfaction. Yeah, there's a lot of information there. There's also a 2018 Homer Glen sewer agreement that's of topic right now because Homer Glen continues to grow. We have maintained that we have the first right of refusal in reserving capacity in our plants. Basically, Bonnie Bray is the plant that the city operates. It's on Bonnie Bray land, but the city operates the facility, the city maintains the facility. And again, it goes back to that other agreement that I spoke of that expires in 2030, is that does the city want to put additional dollars into those treatment plants before renewing, right, or before agreeing to amend? I think that's an important question. I don't think we do. I think we want to have these conversations, maybe some more in private before public, but we need to work out what the future of these sanitary districts are going to be with the city of Lockport. And what I mean by that is, these are legacy agreements that were here long before, I believe, any of us were here. And sometimes, the city has over 10,000 water accounts, but, Bonnie Bray may only have 284 accounts, and Lockport Heights may have 300 accounts. So you have 500 unincorporated accounts, in my opinion, are holding us to certain situations that we are not happy with. And I think if Brent was here, he'd pound his fist on the table. We meet with the districts, we negotiate, we talk. The agreements are poorly written, open-ended, very non-specific for certain reasons, and as new staff to these agreements, we don't like them, to be honest, to be candid. I guess I don't want to get on my soapbox too much here, but there are certainly things that you all need to be aware of, and we can try to communicate some of that to you privately, and then certainly we can make a presentation to the full mayor and council publicly, and we're going to need to have some conversations. At some point, we may even want to have, exec session on some certain topics, so.
Maybe sooner than later.
Yeah, thank you. This is metamorphosed into, like I said, my soapbox here, so I need to.
Maybe that is the right way to do it, Ben.
Yeah.
Maybe it is an executive session, because we're talking about like government, intergovernmental agreements.
Potential litigation would be one reason, depending on what it is, but.
It's a high bar to meet potential litigation. You actually have to have some type of, triggering mechanism to show imminent or impending litigation. It would be letter from, one of the taxing bodies saying, we're going to sue you, we're about to file. So that's why there's restrictions on what you could discuss on executive session, but I believe all the topic of the IGAs is part of our strategic planning. We're taking
is.
a log of all the agreements out there and when they're up and what we can do to better position the city of Lockport to make sure that any renewed agreements are in our favor and not hamstringing us in the next 20, 30 years.
And certainly, there are other things going on that you may or may not be aware of that could trigger exactly what she just said, so we could still end up there for that litigation if somebody files or has a threatening letter. But I think we could talk, we have a budget meeting coming up with all of you. We like to do 2 by 2 by ward. We meet with the mayor, we meet with all the department heads. Lisa and I are scheduling those. And I think maybe that's a good opportunity where I can give you kind of a brief lowdown on.
Yeah, I would agree,
on the budget
sooner the
time.
better, if we have to start it in terms of an open meeting, but if it becomes something where it's
Yeah.
litigationable, we've got to go into exec, like
Sure.
Steve had said, so.
I'd like to see this as an executive meeting to really discuss, and then.
Well, it sounds like
when we're on 2 or 3.
It's,
you can't just say executive for anything, so.
it has to be a specific thing.
Yeah, it has to
So-
be-
But we'll start with
And as I said, during our budget meetings.
and if I need to meet,
overall synopsis.
right, and if I need to meet with each and every one of you, in the next few
Yeah.
weeks, I'm happy to make myself available.
Because
to-
I'm, there's 2 things that I wanted to bring up. First, with what JR brought up about the intergovernmentals, do we have a non-residential rate?
No, we do not. That is something that has come up. Thank you for asking it. Actually, I meant to say something about it earlier.
If we
Mayor and I have
don't, I
talked
would
about
like
it.
to see something in front of us whenever staff has a chance.
Yeah, like I said, I've talked about it briefly with the mayor. I've certainly had conversations about it with staff and Brent in particular. Basically, for those that, for the edification, is that a non-resident rate is something that you put together by ordinance that anyone on your system and billing, so Lisa's team sends out water bills to everybody that's on our system. If you are unincorporated, if you are not a resident of Lockport, you would potentially pay a higher rate, right? It may not be every section of the account because there's certain surcharges and things on there that probably wouldn't change, but for your water sewer usage, I've seen communities go from 5 or 10% up to 30, 40%. The last time I talked about it with Brent, we looked at maybe 25%. And again, if you had a $100 water bill, it may not go up $25, but it may go up 10 or 15 because those portions would go up 25%, just as an example.
But in this case, it wouldn't affect Bonnie Bray or Lockport Heights because we have agreement with them.
Great question, great comment.
But if
Thank
you
Mayor.
lived in an unincorporated parcel, say
could.
down off of Bridge, like down south in
Yeah.
Lockport, that would affect you there.
Right,
If
anybody that, so again, so if it would be non-residents, unless you are currently subject to an agreement, which the residents of Lockport Heights and Bonnie Bray would be immune from this water rate change today. But if they don't renew an agreement with us by 2030, it would then apply at that time. So I think it's a great thing to do for the future. I think we've had this conversation lightly, maybe 2 terms ago, and it was
That would
probably back
include-
around the
that would
time when we
include
did
sewer
that other
flow?
agreement. I'm sorry?
That would include sewer flow and treatment?
Yeah, I think it would be water and sewer. Many times it's just water, but I think in this scenario, many of our customers' concerns and capacity costs are related to sewer. You know, we're expanding the treatment plant at Division. We've mentioned this at part of the strategic plan. You're seeing it, some of the budgeting. It's going to be coming. It's a big part of our CIP that we're going to be presenting to you and with the budget. And so there are cost considerations to treating sewer flows. And there's much debate internal about, you know, do we expand Bonnie Bray? Do we expand Division Street more than we were going to originally? So these are conversations that Brent and I are having with our consultants, and then we will certainly need to be having those conversations with you. I just think without Brent here, I'd like to have a little more consult with him before talking too specifically, but there are things we can do to protect the taxpayers of Lockport who have underwritten and funded most of this, you know, system. And in fairness, there was some contributions from the sanitary districts back in the day as well, and they also pay fees to be part of our system. But because of our agreement, they get a share of our tap-on fees, and there's things that we're going to want to renegotiate before 2030 or after 2030. It would be our way or the highway, frankly. So. There's much to discuss, so great new business conversation. Thank you. This is exact example of what committee of the whole is meant to be for, right? We can have these candid conversations, and it's great. As staff, I'm ecstatic because I get direction, right? We want to be able to go, you know, staff, we try to do our best, but we need to know what the majority of the mayor and council want us to do. So I'll work with Brent on a committee of the whole presentation. We'll try to keep it high level. And just kind of discuss a lot of the things that I brought up here tonight, but more specifically, and there may be a few things that I haven't thought of tonight, but we'll bring it back to committee of the whole.
One final thing I had was, a few of us may have seen recently, past week, that Homer Township Board decided to put up for sale, all the open lands that the residents of Homer Township had voted with a referenda about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, to pay for. 2 of those properties are in Lockport, and I'm disappointed that it's going down this path. It's an unnecessary burden on the residents of those areas. It's an unnecessary burden on the public works. It's an unnecessary burden on the school districts. However, I think it's an overreach, and I hope that when this goes to bid, that there are hopefully open land organizations out there that will bid for these properties. And quite honestly, I don't ever see these properties being developed because it would require us as a council to say that we're going to turn open lands and our properties into developments. So I'm very disappointed in the actions taken. I know these disappointments were also expressed one town door east, because they also have open lands affected. Some of us saw this coming, unfortunately. So when we do get to the bidding process, maybe we will have an organization or group that deals with open space that will bid after these. But, you know, I know they want fair market value, but I say we bid $10 a piece.
I'm sure there's minimums that they have to meet, but
Yep, they do.
we would certainly like to hope that if a developer or somebody was trying to purchase these lands, that they would reach out to the holder of the FPA, the facility planning area, which is the city of Lockport, and we would give them the same discussions that we're trying to have with Homer Glen today, which is we don't have capacity unless they want to really make super huge contributions. Right.
It was just, it's a real disappointment, so.
Yeah, and township government is doing their thing. We can't control them, but we certainly have the ability to control what happens there based on the facilities. No major investment or investor is going to want to do much there without city utilities, and you all control whether we serve them or not. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of participation anybody has. But I have seen the bid packet information on that. Somebody made me aware of it, a resident. And I will share that. We have open lands. We have good contacts with a couple of the open land companies or conservation firms and see if they're interested. But, yeah. Okay, sure.
Anything else, friends? All right, and we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Joanne, JR, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Kathy, we can do a roll call for city council.
New business, that's a big, long one.
All right, yeah, please, roll call.
All right, Saban. Bartleson.
Here?
Lobes.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Galogly.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Karas.
Here.
Kostecki. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, looking for a motion to have a consent agenda.
So moved?
Second.
All right, Mark and Larry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so tonight, we're looking for a motion to approve the committee of the whole meeting minutes from September 7th, the regular city council meeting minutes from September 7th, our payroll period ending September 4th, Canon copy machine lease agreement, there's the authorization investment with PFM Asset Management, there's the ordinance 22018 for pertaining to the size and location of address numbers. There was the City of Lockport Code of Ordinances creating the Class N liquor license. And there was Illinois, there's the ITEP grant for, between Lockport and IDOT for 167th for the pedestrian improvements. So looking for a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
All right, Mark and Renee, may I have a roll call, please?
You got it. Saban.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next we're looking for a motion to approve our bills through September 13.
Make a
So
motion.
moved?
All right, Larry and Mark. Any comments? And we'll do a roll call, please.
Saban.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
I abstain because the city of Lockport is paying my employer for some water material.
Schreiber.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. Karas.
Yes.
And Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next we're looking for a motion to approve our small business streetscape impact grant.
So moved.
It's JR and Renee. I know there were some outstanding questions. What do you guys, what's going on?
We updated the map based on the commentary that we heard at the last meeting to broaden the pool of potential applicants. That includes all of State Street now, from 9th Street south to just beyond 11th Street, to include the areas that are impacted by the construction, as well as both sides of 9th Street from State Street east to Hamilton Street, which is, for that section of the street, it's pretty much the same as it was before, but the State Street included the block between 9th and 10th based on the direction that we had. And then we also included a category for service-related businesses that don't generate sales tax, that they would have a maximum grant award of $3,000 as opposed to the 5 or 10, depending on revenue for the sales tax producing businesses.
Okay.
Those are the two major changes that we made.
All right, thoughts, questions on the changes?
Very happy with the changes.
Okay,
Mhm. Good.
all right. Again, staff, thanks for working on it. It's a big deal. All right, then if there's nothing else, we'll do a roll call.
You got it. Saban.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Malogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, if there's nothing else, then we'll do a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, yeah, Joanne and Larry, all in favor?
Aye.
I don't.